It is 8 days away from the start of the NFL season. It is 8 minutes away from the start of the first ever Fourth and Frames Listener League. Let's get it.
This should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area.
It is time. Wow. Rhett Manuel couldn't be here because he is too scared to take the heat of a horrible draft that he's about to have. It's going to be Snipe City coming out of the 4th spot, where I will be taking all of his good players. But before we get into the draft, which, yes, it is the first annual beginning of the Fourth and Frames Listener League. Every round of pause for applause. And perfect. I am your host for tonight's festivities, Nate Markham. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Drew. Drew, how pumped are you for the first ever Fourth and Frames Fantasy Listener League?
What's not to be excited about, man? I mean, we got Albert in the chat. He's drafting with us. We've got Scampers in the chat. He's drafting with us. You know, what's not to be excited about? You know, so I'm pumped, man. I can't wait.
And Jorge Edwards, pulling double duty, drafting in his home league right now and drafting in this with us. I believe that seems like a very, very coy plan for when you say this draft didn't go so well. It's because, I had 2 drafts going at one time. Actually, for anybody listening that doesn't have a good plan for losing, there you go. That is a solid excuse.
Now you do.
Built in. How you doing?
Yeah,
Jorge?
I'm doing well. And my to add on top of all that, I have my big gulp of gin and tonic right here, so I am just ready for draft night. I'll tell you.
Nice.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I have
Skippers, this is not Dynasty.
I put a wine in this body armor rehydrate thing, so you guys think that I'm staying healthy, but I'm not. I'm secretly drinking wine while we draft.
It's good for your heart. I heard red wine is good for your heart. So
sure, drafting in this listener league is not for the faint of heart because we have with us, on top of the 3 hosts, Rhett Manuel, myself, and Drew, including always a family member, Chris Battistel, as well as you, Jorge. We got 7 other listeners. I think 7. Does that math add up? Yeah, good enough. Whatever.
The math is mathing. Yep.
And we have a 12-team, 4-point passing touchdown, full-point PPR with 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, the old tight end spot, a kicker and a defense, because why not? And then, guys, 3 flex spots. Drew, when you're talking about a 3 flex spot draft, right before we get jumping into the draft, tell me all of your strategies about how you plan to attack a 3 flex with 3 wide receiver draft.
Yeah, what a great time question. So I need you to turn off your speakers, and then I need anybody that's in the chat that's drafting with us, just tune out for a minute, come back in about 3 minutes. But I suddenly care about my roster depth now, which is something in like a typical 12-team, 10-team home league I really don't care about. I'm trying to load up on studs. As soon as the draft's over, I'm sending 2-for-1 trades, 3-for-1 trades to just get as many studs as I can, and just pick up guys off the waiver wire. And in this league, I don't know if I'm going to feel as comfortable doing that. Without you got to start 10 players every week. So in a 1 quarterback league, that's not usually the amount of guys you're putting out there every week. So it's a little bit different for sure.
It should be pretty interesting. I actually think that it's a great format for everybody wondering why is Drew, Rhett, and myself decided let's make it something where it's tangible to what we talk about week in and week out. A little different strategy because you do have so many flex spots and so many wide receiver spots to fill. As Kurt Brown mentions in the chat, he's drafting his flex spot first. Very cleverly done.
I like it.
But I like it. It is not super flex, by the way. I think someone Scampers wants to know if it's Dynasty. It is not. It could be if we had the same listeners that wanted to join each year for the next 10 years, maybe at the end of next year's draft or before it, we can discuss something like that. But I got to say, thank you for every listener that's being part of this. It should
100%.
be will be the most exciting draft of the evening next to Jorge's that we're going to probably listen to in the background when he accidentally forgets to mute his pick.
I muted it. We're good. Don't worry. We're good.
So the draft order is going to go like this. You have the draft board in front of you, so you can probably see it. It is prismatic. Porter's going to start off in the 1-1 spot with Paul Ryan.
Should we pull it up first?
Yeah. I thought it was up. I wasn't looking at the screen. I can't host and talk and pay attention. I do know that we are going to broadcast for what I believe is the duration of the draft. Unless you guys have somewhere to go or, you're just embarrassed and you want to run. Like I think I would be by about the 5th round.
I've got nowhere to be.
We have all night, gentlemen. There's no shoot the gap afterwards. We literally run the streets here. So,
all right, there you go, Nate. Draft board's on the screen. We're ready to roll.
Draft board's on the screen. I will have the countdown for the first ever pick going to Prismatic Porter in 3, 2, 1. You're on the clock. So, now we got about 2 hours of talk time to try to figure out how I don't ask specific questions that hurt my draft, strategy that doesn't give it away, and somehow, keep it interesting. But
I guess a question we could ask while the draft is kicking off here is, for you two individually, have you had your home league drafts yet, or are you still waiting to have those before the season kicks off?
Mine is on Saturday. So I've got mine coming up right around the corner.
I had mine last Saturday. Yeah, I had one last Saturday. Next weekend, next Monday, is the auction one that one of the contestants in this, Kurt Brown, is in with me as well. I believe it's our 22nd year doing that auction. It's a one-person keeper auction. So that's the one that I not look forward to the most by any means, but is definitely an exciting one on my agenda. So, guys, I got a question for you.
Shoot.
How crazy is it to go Amon-Ra over Jefferson and Chase? Because with some of the situations, I thought it was kind of in the same tier. But I don't know. I'm waiting to get some pushback.
I feel like there's like look, we all know what Chase is when he's on, but I'm sorry, I'm a little bit weary of wide receivers who don't show up or players that don't show up for most of training camp. And I get it, these are professional athletes and they're keeping their bodies in shape, but I think there's something to be said for actually being there, practicing, maintaining the chemistry with your quarterback, the conditioning, versus Amon-Ra St. Brown. You don't hear a peep out of him, and he is just some PPR monster. So I don't see a downside with that. I can definitely see that being okay to do.
And so as the first round gets ready to come to an end, for people that aren't watching, I figure that I should tell people who the picks are. So if you're driving around listening, just in anticipation, it did start off with CMC, followed by CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill. I went with the aforementioned Amon-Ra St. Brown. Rhett Manuel takes Bijan, who I was contemplating between. At the 6th pick, Justin Jefferson went off the board, followed by you, Jorge, with Jamar Chase. Drew gets Breece Hall to fall to him at 8. Drew, surprised that Breece Hall fell to you at 8?
A little bit, yeah. I figured that he would probably go off the board, but I got kind of lucky with my draft position. Even though I would have liked him in a little bit further up, there are 8 first-round picks that I feel really good about. And so, and I guess I could say 9. I mean, I'm pretty comfortable with A.J. Brown too. And so I kind of just got to wait and see what fell to me. So I was happy it was Breece. I was expecting it to. Wow, we got our first auto pick, and it's the former co-host of the show. He stuck it to us. I sent him a DM. I don't know if he even knew we started, but
Canadian time.
Yeah, he's on Canadian time. But I was happy Breece fell to me. But honestly, I couldn't pass on Breece, but I was kind of hoping I'd have a reason to draft a receiver just because we have to start 3 receivers and there's 3 flex spots. Like if there's a league to prioritize it, this is probably the one.
Yeah, that actually was one of the direct reasons why I was comfortable taking a receiver there, is that so many of the times when I've kind of built out this format, this roster, it kept looking worse when I had a running back early. Now, don't get me wrong. Saying you have Bijan or Breece Hall is should never be worse. But
yeah, it's not a bad thing.
But yeah, I agree with you. I have AJ Brown in my top 8. I would have been, or top 9. I would have thrilled to take him. Garrett Wilson for credit 10 is another one that I find that is worthy of being in that same tier. And then we get into that second subset, if you will, of the running back group of the Saquon, Jonathan Taylor, Jahmyr Gibbs. And it kind of falls off a little bit. But I guess that the question I'm going to have is, Jorge, in this element with so many wide receiver spots, just how far do you think the running backs will get pushed down?
Oh, everybody's gonna, the second you added 3 wide receivers to the roster, and then you have the 3 flexes. I mean, people are going to be going to wide receivers like crazy. Just to, and it's also a good draft strategy because, or for the other people that are zigging when the other people should be zagging, like let these people draft all these wide receivers and leave all these running backs on the table. So, I'd be more worried about the people who are not drafting wide receivers at this point in the draft.
Yeah, I'll let you guys chatter while I'm trying to pick.
I promise I didn't want to insult your pick, Scampers, not in the slightest. Now your second pick, on the other hand, that's a whole other story. But I know you like Adams a lot more than I do this year. We've already talked about that in the comments a couple times. But you got so Amon-Ra St. Brown and Chris Olave. I'm curious. Is it just because of the lack of target competition that has you with Olave over Nico?
Yes, that's what
Makes
it was.
sense.
Between those two, there was one other person too, and it just, as much as I hate New Orleans offense as a whole, I think that Kubiak's coming in and could save a little bit of the manufactured touches, and Olave should be, I think there should be 150 targets between both him and Amon-Ra. I mean, if I have 300 targets in the first 2 picks, I'm comfortable. That's a pretty good start. Yeah. But like Albert goes Tyreek Hill, then Nico. Here's the question of every draft that's happening today or yesterday after the news is the Kyron Williams discussion. You guys have anything to add to the scenario? Jorge, I'll start with you. Like, where does that move? How much did that move the needle for you?
I think if memory serves me correctly, I moved him down like 8 spots. So I think it's not significant, but I don't think it's that super significant that if you go on Twitter or X and you're seeing like people like, I'm dropping them down 27 spots because this is a horrible. I'm like, dude's still going to get some run, right? We can't have to look at also his efficiency from last year. Maybe volume goes down, but if the efficiency is still there is silver lining there. But I guess the real question is, though, if you're drafting Kyron Williams, does that mean you really want to go get Blake Corum as your handcuff, or is it too early to start thinking about handcuffs?
I just think that's the wrong way to play fantasy football.
Yeah.
To be honest,
don't play scared.
If you're drafting Kyron Williams in the second round, then you should be making the bet that Kyron Williams is going to be, a top 12 running back. And so if you tell yourself, I'm going to draft this guy in the second round, but now I have to make sure to prioritize his handcuff in the 10th round, you probably just shouldn't draft a guy in the second round. You should just draft a guy in the 10th round and just draft Blake Corum. Don't draft Kyron Williams. Well, you're basically banking on your second round pick to be a fail.
And the thing is with Blake Corum, his draft price has went up so considerably that you're right. Where it was later than a 10th round. I'm seeing him creep into the 8th and 9th rounds now because people like the talent. The talent was never on, trial. It was the opportunity because McVay doesn't use more than one running back. But now in this situation, it gives, a little bit of concern. I'll tell you, going to a little bit of a pivot, QK at the 6th spot, started up with Justin Jefferson, followed up with Derrick Henry, comes back in with Josh Jacobs in the 3rd round, who for me, prior to this week, Jacobs was one of the guys that in our 4th and Frames for listeners that paid to watch that episode, he was one of my bust opportunities, simply coming off of a high workload. And I was a little concerned with not necessarily AJ Dillon per se, but the combination of the committee approach in Green Bay. But now AJ Dillon's out for the season. Marshawn Lloyd's already banged up. Could you, either one of you guys, seen Jacobs go any higher than where he went right there, Jorge?
Could I see him going higher? Yeah, because the situation in Green Bay just screams like, front loading a lot of money, not guaranteeing a lot of, security down the line. I feel like this is just LaFleur's year where he's like, no AJ Dillon, let's just go crazy and just run him into the ground. So I could see his value go up a little bit, but not until like the first round at all.
Scampers with the comment that I wanted to say too is that he hates the Jalen Waddle pick of yours, Drew. I hated it only because I have reservations. I so bad wanted to take Waddle there at my third, and Pacheco stared me in the face. I just don't know which way, but man, after looking at the wide receiver groupings that I see towards the end of this draft, starting with Jorge with Jamar, Mike Evans, DK, Scampers with AJ Brown, Devontae Adams, Malik Neighbors, and then Kurt with Garrett Wilson, Puka Nacua, and Michael Pittman. It's we go to the first, and I mean Albert with Tyreek Hill, Nico, and Deebo Samuel. People are addressing the wide receiver that plus the flex. So maybe it answered our question from earlier, guys, where how far the running back's going to get pushed down, because I'm looking at some names at the top of the list in the running backs, and we're starting to turn at 4, and I'm seeing some names that are typically gone by the end of the second, early third, right?
Right. Yep. Yeah, it's very interesting. Man, Chris is going to hate this team. He's through 4 rounds and he has no receivers, and he's probably going to somehow win the league. 2 running backs, a tight end, and a quarterback through 4 rounds in a league where you have to start 3 receivers and there's 3 flex spots.
Well, the conventional
wisdom.
You
pay for auto drafting.
Yeah, they say in the deeper leagues you wait on the onesie positions, but they also say zig when others zag, and maybe that's what he's doing. He's saying, you know what, screw this. I don't want to take a quarterback and tight end late like everybody else in the league will be able to do. So I'm gonna scoop him up early. At least he got the best of both.
He did.
Kurt, who had 3 wide receivers, takes his first running back in Joe Mixon. In that. Is this like kind of the anti-dead zone of running backs right now, where you look at Mixon and Cook and Kamara and White, where their floor is just elevated by either offensive upside or pass catching prowess? I mean, is this maybe kind of the time, like in many leagues going forward, but our running backs in this round, what should be maybe 3, 4, the more valuable they've been in the past?
Yeah, I think with the receivers being drafted earlier than they have, I just think that the running back dead zone has been pushed down a little bit. I'm not a huge James Cook guy personally, and I do think Rachaad White is due for some regression. So those 2 guys that are typically going in this range, but the drafters in our league have, as educated and as smart as they are, they've taken Mixon and Walker and Kamara over them, as they should. But I think the running back dead zone just in general, nice pick, Albert. Nice pick. I think the running back dead zone just in general has been pushed down a little bit just because of the I don't know if it's the best ball mindset that has like kind of just bled into redraft a little bit or what, but it just, it seems like receivers are getting drafted early and often, even in just like regular leagues, like not even just this league where receivers are, where you have to start the receivers every week, you have 3 flex spots, but even in just your typical home league, receivers are, a little bit more prevalent than they have been in the past. So I think that that's part of it too.
Yeah, you mentioned the pick by Albert, who with his 4th wide receiver in a row took Rashee Rice, who I was saying earlier in off screen is that I think that he should be that, 3rd round receiver in, especially even in just a normal league. I'll say this isn't abnormal, but it's abnormal where you have 3 receivers plus 3 flex, great value. I hated the fact that I guess I could have taken Rice there, but the Pacheco pick prior led me down the Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin, by the way.
That's a good value too, though.
Yeah, I think so. I think the concern with Brandon Ayuk going to Washington, that was, who knows anymore. So if I have to say the word Brandon Ayuk one more time, I'm going to probably lose it.
I know.
Yeah, I can't stand hearing about it. I can't stand the rumors. Most importantly, I can't stand the rumors where it's trade McLaurin and draft assets for Brandon Ayuk. Like I get it. I get Ayuk is very good when he's hyper targeted. But McLaurin has dealt with a lot of crap at quarterback, and he's still putting up 1,000-yard seasons. I feel like, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. Yeah, maybe it's the fandom, maybe it's a combination of both. But I'm buying the Jaden Daniels hype, and everything I'm seeing out of local reports here is this guy's for real. I ran into at the Kings Classic when we were in Canton, Dave Richard, and he was covering the Commanders, and he was like, "Yeah, I've heard some really good things," and he doesn't, and that's high praise for Dave Richard. So,
absolutely. Sorry about that. I didn't realize it was on me. I was listening to you talk, Jorge.
Homer pick.
Well, yeah, I mean, homer pick is possible. Kurt, you are more than capable of taking any of your teams if you would like, or any of your players from your team. But considering everyone that you would take has already been drafted as the Las Vegas Raiders, there's not much left to take. Unless you're, I know we'll go Brock Bowers at some point. Maybe he'll take Zamir White. Speaking of, how shitty is Zamir White? Anybody want to talk on that? Do we want to elaborate on how bad? Unless someone takes him soon. I'm not trying to dog your pick.
Yeah, what a horrible situation he finds himself in. A coach that likes to run the ball a lot. Just horrible.
Horrible. Mike Davis was in one of the best spots ever, too.
Wow, really? We're comparing Zamir White to Mike Davis?
Yes. 100%.
Jorge sounds like a guy that wants to draft Zamir White here.
That is exactly what I'm comparing him to.
I think he wants to draft Zamir White right here. I'm just saying.
Bold take. Dylan Lobby scores more than Zamir White. I don't know how bold it is. No,
all right, so I know I've already got Drake London. This would typically be Kyle Pitts territory for me, but I don't know if I want to invest in both London and Pitts. So
you want to?
I do. I want to, but there's another tight end I have in the same tier.
Know.
So
Go ahead.
I'm going to take Andrews instead. But maybe you were thinking Dalton Kincaid, but I'm not as high on Dalton Kincaid as some are. I still have Andrews one spot over him, but or maybe even two spots over him. I can't remember. But yeah, I do still prefer Andrews.
What's ironic about that, Drew, is that as I was getting ready to say I worry about the Isaiah Likely usage in that offense, I would be remiss and kind of foolish to not say maybe Dawson Knox is the same type of block to Dalton Kincaid's total ceiling. And yet I overlooked that. And I washed that aside and I go, I'm not worried about it. Dalton Kincaid will. So, I mean, there's some rational thought, but you're right. Those three tight ends, depending upon how you want to interchange Kittle and Evan Ingram. I told her, hey, you never know. Oh, Sebastian Janikowski did retire, Kurt, which would have been
a shame.
It is.
CBS.
A quick little roundup since I have some time. The Prismatic Porter in the first with the first pick has paired McCaffrey with Rashad White to go along with Brandon Ayuk, DJ Moore, Chris Godwin. At the 2 spot, Paul Ryan started off with CD Lamb, paired him up with Stephon Diggs, as his running back combination of Kyron Williams and Devon Chan, and Lamar Jackson in the 5th. Albert, Tyreek Hill, Nico Collins, Debo, Rashee Rice, Trey McBride. Receiving is pretty excellent with that team for sure. We'll see how he addresses the running back position if it's even a concern. I mean, at this point, with so many flexes, as long as you get touches at the running back position, maybe you'll be okay. At the 4th spot, start off with Amon-Ra, Chris Olave, Isaiah Pacheco, Terry McLaurin, Calvin Ridley, Rhett, Bijan, Travis Etienne, Cooper Kupp, Tank Dell with Hurts, QK, Justin Jefferson, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Alvin Kamara. The first person to go 3 running backs, and until Chris has went back to back to stack his Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor with DeAndre Swift and Aaron Jones. He's going to hate this so much, and I can't. Why we don't have money on this league is beyond me at this point. But Jorge comes in with Jamar, Mike Evans, DK Metcalf, Kenneth Walker, Ramondre Stevenson. Kenneth Walker is who I was going to target there in that 4th round coming back. The hype on Kenneth Walker right now is reaching warranted, by the way. The highest it's been. I think this Grubbs offense is set. It looks like Kenneth Walker, by the end of this coming up weekend's drafts, it wouldn't shock me to see him slide into the end of the 3rd, maybe even sooner, but I'd love where you got him. What's the ceiling for Kenneth Walker in your eyes?
Me or Drew? Sorry, I didn't hear.
You're the one that drafted him.
Yeah.
I
So
don't care what Drew says.
It's more so that I just wasn't really impressed with Charbonnet last year. He got some touches, then he got hurt, and I keep going back to the Dallas Thursday night game where Kenneth Walker was inactive, and it's like, all right, Charbonnet, this is your time to shine. And like I want to see he have like 3-5 yards per carry, or something smaller than that, and he just couldn't move the ball effectively, which is unfortunate because you would figure they would kind of utilize some of his pass catching prowess like he had at UCLA.
Right.
So that is a major concern. And of course there is also the concern with Kenneth Walker, in terms of durability, also in terms of his health the past couple of years. But I was just taking the best player available at that point.
You just took the best player available again, too. Great job.
Is that some sarcasm I'm picking up there, or some bitterness?
No, from Drew. No, he loves Kyle Pitts.
I love Kyle Pitts.
I know I said bitterness for a reason. Yeah, no, I got you. I see what you're doing.
Well, he could have had him. He chose to not put too much into the Falcons offense, which rightfully so, because if something does, don't get me wrong, the Kirk Cousins, damn you, Rhett. I was really looking at Kincaid there, and
he's listening. He's listening.
I know he should, but that's okay. He could have went with Kittle or so at this point, not to give away too much or anything. Not that I care, but I really love Kittle for where he's going right now.
Yeah, he's a good value in drafts right now, especially if there was to be something happen with Ayuk, like his upside goes through the roof at that point if Ayuk gets moved and they don't get a significant piece of wide receiver back in the trade. Right. He should be in the grouping with Kincaid and Pitts and those guys at that point. Maybe already should be. I don't know.
But I'm going to go myself and just take. I worry with only two of the three needing a quarterback. I don't know if either one would take one. I think with Albert, this would make sense for his pick, and so it'd make me feel good knowing that he can't pair Trey McBride with Kyler Murray. Mostly Albert, as much as I love the fact that you listen a lot. I hope that was your plan, because I'm not here to draft a good team. I'm here to piss off 11 other people by all accounts possible. So I'm hoping to see Albert jump in the chat with some superlatives.
He grabbed Odunze pretty quick, though. I don't know.
He did. I don't think. Well, yeah, you had to have a second pick. That's a rule. Never go to your pick. I mean, have 4. Yeah, we're playing this league out.
Oh yeah. This is a full on redraft league. We might even try to figure out like a prize for the winner or something. This is a full on redraft league that's going to be managed all year. Trades, waivers, all the good stuff. No best ball over here. It's the real deal.
Jorge's about to announce a prize that he's paying for himself, which is.
Yeah, so at the Fantasy Football Expo, and even before then, I got to know the guys over at Dynasty Decks, or the DynastyDecks.com, and they put together like customized plaques that you can track like the championship game, the game-winning score. It gives all the players on your roster, totally customizable for offense and defense for those who like playing that. And in fact, they messaged me after the Expo that they're proud to give away a plaque for one of our listener leagues, and why not give it away for the Fourth and Frames League?
Hey, let's go. You heard it here first. That's awesome. Shout out to those guys, man.
Yeah, they're really cool guys. Just super humble, just want to make their way in the space and provide a product that everybody, and it's super affordable for those who are looking into getting one of their plaques here. And if you use the promo code FRAMES, you get $5 off. So definitely recommend you check those guys out.
And Scampers just points out that value on James Cook there. I was really thinking it was going to be Albert that was going to take him away from me, because I was hoping to have him as my 2. But, it's everybody else's hopes to make everybody miserable, and you guys did a good job of that so far. So My
You're not
next
alone
pick.
though. Scamper said Waddle and Andrews were both hard
Yes.
snipes. That was me right in front of him, and then the guy picking right after him, but before him on the turn, as was Connor in all caps. So
Oh yeah,
Scampers is also going through it. But even a guy that's been sniped as many times as he's saying, he has still, you can tell he has a plan, and he's still executing his plan. He might be tilting in the chat, but he's not tilting in the draft because he's still putting together a strong draft, even having to deal with those snipes. So that's how you do it like a pro.
Exactly. Continuing on from where I was early with some of the picks, we'll get right into Scampers. I won't skip over you, Drew. You start off with Breece Hall, Drake London, Jalen Waddle, T. Higgins, as good a 3 wide receivers there is of any team so far. Mark Andrews, who you are high on. Xavier Worthy, who I'm, a fan of as a whole. What is the ceiling that you think for Worthy? Is it 65 catches for, 900 yards and touchdowns? Is it design plays just where he has, 18 or 15 total touches a game? What 15 is a lot. Let's go with like 12. But
I would be thrilled if he had 12 total touches a game.
No doubt. Exactly.
I think that he's, whenever at that point in the draft, whenever he's my wide receiver 4, I think he's a guy that offers a lot of upside with the explosiveness that he has mixed with the quarterback he's attached to and the offensive minded head coach, one of, if not the best in the league that he's attached to, and the ability, the way that they're able to get creative with their offensive playmakers. And I think Xavier Worthy is underrated as a prospect too. So I think that he steps in there and it's going to be a lot of big plays coming from him. And so as a guy that's going to be in my flex spot most weeks, hopefully, I wanted a little bit of upside there, and he stuck out for me at that point in the draft.
Yeah, and I shouldn't have. 12 is extremely high. I think targets and we don't do kick return yards in this, and a lot of my stuff recently has been looking back at like the Scott Fishbowl, and so many other leagues are incorporating kickoff return and punt return yards that I've been using those potential kickoff return and punt return for Xavier Worthy if he's the guy that they're going to utilize, and his value when looking at that is 2 to 3 rounds higher, if not more, because just with the new kickoff style and the format, I'm seeing just a minimum of like a 5-point floor for even the worst games for many of these guys. I'd be intrigued to know, are you either one of you two wanting to incorporate that with the change, or is that just hey, it's been playing this way without it too long, I'm not going to adapt to this design that the NFL has? Boo, Kurt. Zamir White sucks. Good pick.
I got sniped pretty hard. QK, he got me pretty hard with Tony Pollard. I was hoping to grab him there. I ended up going with Javonte. I was between Javonte and Mostert. Honestly, it's funny. Mostert went right after, but wanting to spread out the love a little bit since I had Waddle already, so I took Javonte. But I'm sorry that me saying that completely ignored your question. So what were you saying?
Yeah, I missed it too. I was hoping you would answer.
I played now in many of the leagues that the whatever you want to call them, not invitational, but like charity leagues, are incorporating the kick and the punt return into the scoring format. And so I'm intrigued if other people are excited by that, wrinkle, or if that's just hey, it's a fad for today as the NFL changed it, or is that something going forward that might be a nice little piece to add to a fantasy puzzle?
I think it's fun for the NFL, but other than like the leagues like the Scott Fishbowl where they put a premium on the kick and punt returns and things like that, other than those leagues, I don't really factor it in too much. Now Chris decides to show up and make good picks.
Yep.
Oh man, nice of you to join us, Chris. Just in time to finally draft your wide receiver 1, Brian Thomas Jr., your wide receiver 2, Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, okay. I'm still a little mad at 12th pick. I was really hoping Devin Singletary would slip down. I love the value of Singletary. 8th round. He has started off with Gibbs, could stack up at the onesie positions, get Marvin Harrison Jr., Amari Cooper, Deontay Johnson, Ladd McConkey, and then have a solid 2 in Singletary. I know the offense isn't going to be great, but
He's
still,
going to get a ton of carries.
he
though.
should. I don't see any way he doesn't personally, but I get it that there's concern. That offense is concerning, but there's a lot of concerning offenses this year.
I hate this comment because it's probably true because that's what I do best in fantasy football leagues. So
That's horrible.
Landon's a good friend of mine, co-host of the 3-Man Rush podcast that I do.
Love that
We've been doing
podcast
for a few years.
Love it.
And we've been playing in fantasy football leagues together for over a decade now. And there's one particular dynasty league we've played in together where I have finished in second place, I think 3 times out of the 6 years the league's been active. And he's won it twice and beat me in the championship one of those 2 times to get it too. So yeah, that one stings a little bit, Landon, got to be honest with you, but it well deserved as well though.
Yeah, I wouldn't. So all right, here's a question. If you knew if there was money on the line, say, and second place always got paid, their entry plus say whatever, double their entry. So if it's a $20 league, you get $40 back, and you guaranteed to win money every year, but never win a championship. Would you take that?
No.
Yeah.
Nope. Not even for a second. Wouldn't think about it for a second. You play to win the game, and I have not. I have not won the game. Chris apologizes that he was late, wanted to give us a head start, wanted to give us a little bit of competitive advantage. So we have no one to blame but ourselves if Chris still somehow wins this league.
Did you watch during the Olympics when they showed the Olympic swimmer that gave the other people a head start and then lapped them basically by the time it was done? It was basically one of those like, here we're going to take regular. I don't know if they were actual like competitive swimmers or where they ranked or even stood in. I knew they could swim, so we'll go with that. They could swim at least. They didn't drown. Yeah. And he let them have, I don't know, maybe half the length of the pool and just blasted past him. This is not that case with Chris. Chris, you gave us the entire pool. Yes, 25-meter head start and a 50-meter race. Chris gave us a 51-meter head start in a 50-meter race. And so I say that tongue-in-cheek, Chris, that if there's anybody that can just ravage the waiver wire, and let's be honest, starting off with Saquon, Jonathan Taylor, Kelsey Allen is not like a horrendous start. It's just not what most people in this particular league probably, or what we know that you wouldn't have done. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, he definitely would not have went that route.
I'm glad he did, though.
Yeah, I'm not mad about it either.
Again, we say this, right? And then watch, like, through some, like, miraculous intervention, he ends up finding a way to win this league. So,
no.
Yep. And it's not like once the draft is over that the rosters are set either. Like,
that's true.
He can use those running backs to once the league gets going, people that don't have running backs, they're going to want running backs. Like, he can make some moves. Make some moves. My running back room is perfect by the time CMC goes down. Chubb should be back.
Very, very well. Albert,
I knew
by the
you
way,
were taking Jamison Williams there. I knew it.
Yeah, he's my boy. I was just so I had to taking Brian Robinson was between Robinson, Brown, and Spears, and I was like, all right, I'll take Robinson, and then I'll just bank on whoever's next available when it comes back, and neither was available, so went with my love. And Jerome Ford was the other one, by the way, too. I think the value of Ford in the ninth round.
Good pick. It got 2 shit emojis. That's
well, that's because Rhett sucks. How do you do that, by the way? Just click and drag?
I don't know. I see the little emojis down here, but I don't know how it works.
Yeah,
I guess it applies to the most recent pick.
So I was having this conversation with somebody. I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's why maybe it was me. Maybe I was clicking it on accident and just gave him all those poop emojis.
There goes Blake Corum.
Yeah. Jorge, you were saying, I'm sorry. We cut you off with
you're good. You're good.
Being 4-year-olds.
So, Rich, I don't know if people in the chat have, remember this, but Sleeper in the chat room during the draft, in the draft room, used to have a feature where you could like press the button, and then you could like talk to people across like wherever your distance is, and they got rid of it. And I'm just like, damn it, Sleeper just promoting, social, not social awareness, but what is this? Social isolation. Y'all remember that feature that they used to have?
No.
What was it? I missed it.
It's like a voice chat basically option.
Voice chat. Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
No, I didn't know they had a
it.
voice chat.
Yeah.
Scampers, it would have emojied so much harder. Scampers, by the way, in the chat, how was it for anybody that didn't happen to see? He had the opportunity to go to the Fantasy Footballers Live and meet the guys afterwards.
Oh, did he really?
Or more importantly, as I mentioned, they had the pleasure of meeting Scampers and
it was absolutely
Dame.
their pleasure.
It really was. So by use of emoji, Scampers, tell us how that experience went.
That's awesome, man. I wanted to go the first year that they did the live shows. They did like several. They were spread out.
Or are you timed out, by the way?
God damn it.
Back off.
This is the first time.
You got a good pick though.
That's actually who I had in my queue, so it worked out nicely.
That's
Okay.
why you set your
Why you have a queue.
Yeah, well, lesson learned, people. Set your cues.
Have a
okay?
queue. Drew, continue. First year, they were
the first year they did it. They like the last couple years. I think it's only been LA. But the couple years before that, they had like several spots. Scampers. That's who I was between Brooks and Hopkins. I don't like you very much right now. But they had a show in Chicago, and it ended up lining up. I think it was the same night that Albert Pujols made his return to St. Louis whenever he was still with the Angels, and I already had tickets for that, and I wasn't missing that. And so
that game could have met up, Drew.
I was at the Friday and the Saturday game that weekend.
So
man.
I was there Saturday. Remember when the alarms went off when they thought they had to stop the game? I was like, great. I'm gonna get shot because fucking Pools came back to town.
You laughed, but you almost died. That's funny. Okay.
Well, so Scamper says that it was 10 of them, about 20 minutes chit chatting, then a dope show. They obviously lit things on fire. If you'll click on, I can do that.
Oh, yep.
Oh, might beat you. Sorry. They lit things on fire. They drank beer. They played in a drum circle and ate cake. That sounds like a wonderful evening. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome, man. I hope to one day get to meet those guys. They were literally the reason I wanted to get into content creation with fantasy football. They're such an incredible blend of knowledge and entertainment, and they just on the surface too. I mean, I don't know them from Jack or Jill, but on the surface they seem like such incredible people too. And that's a piece of it.
I think I remember meeting them when they went to New York. They were doing a Manhattan show, and the guy who was he was a producer, but I think he ended up believing that the guy who did like the bear, who was the mascot for the bear, he was like tweeting at us left and right during the show, and he ended up getting us like free stickers and whatnot, which was pretty awesome. To your point, though, those guys they put on a live show. It is pretty impressive what they do. It's like being at a concert. You walk out like sweaty and exhausted because you're just so amped up. And they get the crowd going. It's a good time.
I wish we had a following of people that they would know what I'm getting ready to say at any given time when I say the number 55 or do anything.
Yeah, right.
Nope, not even.
Terrell Pryor. Is that the Crossfire?
The Crossfire one. Terrell Pryor. Yeah.
Oh.
David Johnson. Oh my God! You want to talk about a fantasy football pick? Exactly. Man. God, I wish he would have been more of a long-term player because that 2016 season, I will never forget. That was magic.
Yep. It was a good one. I trying to find. I gotta tell you. Oh yeah, he's right. You jerk. You're not supposed to actually take players.
He did it on purpose just to spite Scampers.
Well, he's already loaded at wide receiver now with Thomas Samuel and Romeo Dubs. Well, he doesn't need another receiver. He's good.
What else do you need?
Start attacking that Carolina backfield. Nothing says championship like that, which I actually don't hate Chuba because I worry about just how soon Brooks is going to get acclimated back into that offense. I don't think it's going to be week 4. I think it's probably closer to week 7, 8. And I mean, you get 8 weeks out of a starting running back in the 10th round, and I think that's a win.
No, I agree.
That's good.
It's like that's nice. That's nice.
Look at
Great.
the
That's
Indianapolis
nice.
wide
Thank you.
receivers coming off the board. You got AD Mitchell and Josh Downs back to back.
He's one of my sleeper wide receivers for this year, AD Mitchell. I just,
I like
with
it.
Josh,
I like the AD
you know,
Mitchell pick.
I have good thoughts. I have good feeling. Good feeling about this.
Good vibes.
Good vibes.
Good vibes. There you go. There you go.
No,
I
really
thought
hate
the Pat
running
Freiermuth
backs
pick
there.
was a good value too.
I
he
did
have a tight-
too.
And he didn't have a tight end either. He punted tight end and ended up with Pat Freiermuth in the 10th round. Damn.
Yep. I know. He's an idiot. Hate him. For
Oh,
it.
you don't have one either, Nate.
I don't. Thanks for pointing that out. That's all right. You don't win leagues with tight ends.
You got to punt somewhere.
I got one in mind that I'll unveil shortly. I just got to find a running back that I don't love, but I love the fact that I hate the person who's in front of him, and I think that he won't last. And when he doesn't, this offense should be potent enough to be dangerous. But he also might just suck just as bad as Zeke, and then it turns into a 50-50 and it's worthless. But
do you really think the signing of Dalvin Cook?
no.
No. That's not where I was going with that.
Oh,
do you think it is an indication of just how bad overall the running back room is, or Zeke in particular?
I still can't say no. Or is that this is not a yes/no question? No.
It's all bad.
All the
bad.
answers were going to be no. It was going to be yeah, I don't know. I feel like anytime these aged running backs get signed somewhere, all it does is depress the value of some of the guys that we thought were going to be in the role. And then someone gets a steal an extra round or two later than they normally should have, because the concern for X, Y, and Z was there. And so I'm hoping that's what's going to happen with Rico here, is that I don't think this is a value. Don't get me wrong. I would have just as rather have had Ty Chandler right there myself, which I can't because fucking Albert jack off. This is live still, isn't it?
It is
Yeah,
live.
Sorry.
yeah.
Sorry, Albert.
Yeah.
Love you. Thanks for listening.
And saved on the internet, so that's good. That's good.
It's all right. He knows.
He knows.
All right. This is not my tight end sleeper, but it's the late round. I'm going to put them on the old IR. We have IR spots, don't we?
I don't know. It's a good question.
We do not have IR spots according
Wonderful.
to
Check. All right. So check your settings. That's a little rule for everybody that's never played before.
Which I think that all to be fair to you, I think that all redraft leagues should have one or two IR spots. So that unless Sleeper doesn't allow us to do that post draft, that's something we could add to. Oh my God, Red! I was going to take him right there.
There you go, Red.
I like Brett with the Jerome Ford pick. That's very very smart, given Deonta Foreman got released yesterday. I like it.
Yeah, I like Jerome. I like Ford even before.
Oh, Jorge, you guys are killing me this round. Jesus H. Christ.
The Dontavian Wicks is what drew out the blasphemy. Great, good to know. Gotcha. That's where the line's at, is Dontavian Wicks.
Yeah.
As your fifth wide receiver for a bye week fill-in potentially. I mean, come on.
I was very excited about Dontavian Wicks there.
Yeah. I don't blame him. I actually I mean, an X receiver in that offense should, and has the potential to be extremely dangerous. And
I got you. I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
Man,
So-
this is a gross part of the draft here.
Yeah. My mocks went a lot better than this. I was still getting good value at this point.
Yeah, right.
They always do, right? They always lie to you. So, guys, let me ask you a question. Marshawn Lloyd, where are we at with this? Is he somebody that the further we go down into these rounds, the better of a value he is? Or are we still concerned because, one, he's a rookie and then he's dealing with a hamstring injury, which we all know, like, oh my God, great shades of Aaron Jones. So running back who just left, who has hamstring issues. We got a new one coming in that has the same thing. Like, at what point does he become a value, though, knowing that eventually at some point this season, he'll be healthy? We hope.
I still like Marshawn Lloyd as a late dart throw because I do think he's going to be the clear number 2 once he is healthy. And obviously you're not going to get anything out of him to start the year, and he didn't land on IR because AJ Dillon did, and so you can't stash him on IR. You're going to have to be patient and let him sit on the bench. But I think he's a good bench stash still. I'm still happy to stash him. Personally.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that if LaFleur does revert back to the no single back usage, it will be, time when I worry about Jacobs a little bit. I think that the workload from last year has maybe caught up, but
2 years ago.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry, 2 years ago. Last year was still, it was.
He had work. Right.
Yeah, but you're right. I meant 2 years ago, correct. But he's an every other year guy, so maybe this is the year. That's why I was worried about, thinking about him moving up, because if he's playing well enough, does play on the field change a coach's philosophy as a whole? And I don't know that answer. I'd like to think yes, because coaches are adaptive and they are reactive when proactivity wasn't necessarily certain with injuries, etc.
Right.
But the offense is great. If he sets, if he gets some touches or something happens to Jacobs, he's on the right offense to be on.
Do you all know if Cam Akers made the roster for the Texans, or did he get cut today or yesterday?
He is on the roster.
Wow. Is Dameon Pierce still on the roster? Because that would amaze me as well if they're both on the roster.
I think so.
Wow. Okay. Go Texans for keeping some depth there. That's interesting.
Oh, Scampers with his first quarterback now in the 12th round with Jaden Daniels is fantastic. That's how you follow good strategy. Like we said, he had a game plan. It went all blue, then some green, and then red.
There you go.
Very, very organized.
And then
the color coding.
What was that? Or you bring up a player, you just so little
just double checking to make sure we're okay with this pick.
Just for the chat.
Yeah, evergreen conversation. Talk amongst yourselves, of course, but I don't know. Quentin Johnson, rebound season or not? I'll hang up and listen.
I'll hang up and listen.
First time listener what is it? What is the phrase?
Long time
listener, first time caller.
Exactly.
Well, I'm a long time fantasy player, and it would appear that I'm the first time drafter because this team is garbage. Someone give me a poop emoji on this next pick. It deserves it.
Yep.
I don't know who it's going to be yet.
Way to not be negative.
I don't even know who it is yet.
I don't even know who your pick is.
I don't even know yet, but I know it's not going to be good. I see a lot of these names that I don't like.
I know Darnell Mooney. You can't really hit more rock bottom than you. Really, you're a Mooney fan, Drew, or no?
No.
I don't hate Darnell.
Let me think about this. Let me think about if I can rationalize it. No, I can't. No.
I don't hate him.
I like Darnell Mooney, the player. I just think
he's a great person. I'm sure.
Pecking order.
But it's wonderful. When you're talking about Darnell Mooney and thank you, Mike Wilson, it's not great.
Oh shit! I like the Joe McLaughlin pick, Albert.
Nope,
I'm sorry.
Can't take it back.
I wasn't fast enough.
I personally think. Oh, now we're on Zach Charbonnet. Damn it! I'm too slow to do this too. These guys are fast.
Oh, I'll do this for Purdy though. Screw the 49ers.
Yeah.
I think that there's a fire alarm going off in my hotel right now, but I am not moving, brother. The show goes on.
That's hilarious.
This place is going to have to burn down.
It would match your team. Garbage fire.
Garbage fire.
Thank you, everybody. Yeah. I'm here all week.
That was
problem.
Good.
Excellent.
Good.
Thank you so much. That's why I got the microphone in front of me. Well,
I am kind of proud of myself, and I'm going to give myself a pat on the back here. Aside from that auto pick in the draft we're doing right now, guys, where Jalen Warren was in my queue, thank God. Managing my home league draft while doing the draft with you, while doing a show, while drinking my big gulp of gin and tonic, actually working in my favor so far. So
nice.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
Don't know when it's going to go off the rails, but I'm sure it will at some point.
Well, usually, how far in that big gulp are you?
About 3/4 of the way.
3/4 of the way done, or 3/4 of the way still full?
3/4 of the way done.
Okay. Glass half empty type guy. Got it.
Way to go. Way to be negative there, Jorge. Oh my God, you really do have a fire alarm going off right now.
You
hear it?
Yeah, I just heard it right now.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
It's okay. I didn't know Best Westerns had a fire alarm system, so that's a plus.
Yeah, you can feel safe now.
That's the light on they leave for you, is a burning fire in room 212.
That's right. That's right.
So Drew, let's see. Do you have a Caleb was your first? I don't hate that.
In more than one way.
At what? I don't even know what that means.
Wow.
Yep.
Don't even know where to go from there. Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
No, I wanted Jaden Daniels, to be honest, just because of the rushing upside, and this is a 4-point per passing touchdown league, so they get propped up a little bit. But yes. I mean, Caleb Williams is set up better than any rookie I can remember in terms of the players he has around him. He also can use his legs, but then whenever he doesn't want to use his legs, he can throw the ball to DJ Moore or to Keenan Allen or to Romo Dunze, or he can dump it off to DeAndre Swift. I think that him and Daniels should be drafted relatively close to each other. I've got him back to back, I believe, 11 and 12 in my rankings. I technically have Purdy right there with him too, but I just didn't. Fantasy football is supposed to be fun, and there's just nothing fun for me about drafting Brock Purdy. So, Caleb Williams. I didn't want the draft to come back around to me and Williams not be on the board once Daniels went off the board. So it was partially who was highest on my board, but also kind of reactionary once Scampers took Daniels.
Yeah. So it's funny. I drafted Jaden Daniels in my home league and then got Brock Purdy. And the only reason why I got Brock Purdy is because the guy who has been on Fourth and Frames as a guest the most the past year and a half, Mr. Keith Fleming, has been beating into my head. This is it. This is the year. It's the third year in the Shanahan system. Look what happened with Matt Ryan, the third year in the Shanahan system. He's going to blow up. Keith, this is for you, buddy.
Oh, I've gotten sniped more in these late rounds than I did in the early parts of the draft.
Oh, the Antonio Gibson love still there?
No, it was actually Pop Douglas right there before that pick. I'm a Pop Douglas guy. I like Pop quite a bit. Man,
it's okay. You'll bounce back. Don't worry.
I doubt it. I don't think I'm going to recover at this point.
There's a fire somewhere close you can run into and just end it off. Picks don't go so good.
Jaden Daniels.
No, I just see him running out of his room. Leroy Jenkins right into the fire.
He does a tuck and roll outside of the burning building, still holding the laptop. You can't get Pop Douglas, so you go with another New England Patriot wide receiver.
What could go wrong?
What a strategy.
What could go wrong? And I'm also about to start my home league dynasty draft. It was supposed to start 2 minutes ago, but
they delayed it.
I'm technically the guy that has to hit the button to start it.
Jorge, I will tell you, my favorite, if I'm going to take two quarterbacks in a one quarterback league, you took my absolute favorite. Jared Goff is the one that I don't want to leave a draft without him if I'm going to draft two. If I don't get him, like in this situation, I don't know if I'll draft another one. But
right.
14, I mean, the 14 to 17 dome games has been brought up so much. It's nauseating. But at the same time, it's true. He's been, fantastic. I love the weapons. I don't know if bringing in Tim Patrick means anything or moves the needle at all for me, but I don't think the defense is that great from a secondary perspective. I think their pass rush is good. So, I mean, there could be a chance that Detroit's in more shootouts than anticipated for, Super Bowl contending team, but
right.
I don't know. I'm big fan. Like I have no problem actually if he was my one, if I had to wait until the very end.
I got a question for you guys real quick, completely unrelated to this draft. I'm in a 12-team, one quarterback dynasty league. I got the number 1 overall pick. Who should I take?
Oh, leave that
Is there
up.
any,
Let's
is,
give
is
it to
there
the
anybody?
chat.
Is there any? Let me just tell you this. Let me ask this: is there anybody that would
Mhm.
say that would make an argument for Malik Neighbors over Marvin Harrison Jr.? Because I mean that's the discussion. But
I wouldn't
and
argue against
I
it.
know who I'm going to pick, but I'm just curious if anybody would try to change my mind.
You said it's a one quarterback dynasty league.
One quarterback dynasty league. Yep.
And you have a quarterback already. I'm assuming it's not
Chris
Aiden
said
O'Connell or something stupid.
Yeah, I've got Kyler as my quarterback. So
I mean, I think that answers your question for you. But
yeah, I know who I'm taking. I was just curious if I could get an argument for Neighbors over Marv, but I'm glad to see Scampers is on the right side of history here.
I don't think I would argue with enough conviction. Yeah, I would just say that, I mean, I think that the separation between the two is nominal at best. And I don't think I hate to say you can't go wrong because there's no such thing as a surefire pick, but
right.
It's about as close as it gets for me.
You know what? There is a surefire fire going on in Drew's hotel right now that he's ignoring the fire alarm. Unless it
I told you, I'm not going. I'm not fucking leaving.
I'm not fucking leaving. I'd still hear it though. That's amazing. That's kudos to you, man. Just kudos to you.
Yeah, while I'm not talking, I'm gonna mute myself though, so the people listening to the stream don't have to listen to that shit.
No, they love it. They love it.
No, it's a good story. It's a good story to tell. It's like, hey, that time we drafted and Drew was caught in the fire because he ignored the fire alarm. It was good.
Yeah.
I will pick up my laptop and walk outside with it if they're like, "Hey, you gotta leave. We gotta get you out of here." I'm like, "All right, well, laptop's coming with me. The stream must go on."
I love it.
I'm actually on a Carnival cruise right now. They're doing the swag. They're about to. That's the alarm to let everybody know to get on the deck because the swag surfing song is about to go off.
Oh
my god!
You mean the anthem for the back-to-back Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs?
Yeah,
the one that Taylor Swift was dancing to in the press box.
It happened way before Taylor Swift was in the audience. It was.
That's good.
Ask Willie Gay; he'll tell you.
Well,
he won't tell you because you don't know him, and he wouldn't just randomly answer a tweet, or would he, Jorge?
Well, there's only one way to find out, right?
Tweet him. Hold on
a
second.
It's like I want to watch you tweet him now. Exactly.
And that's the sound of wine entering my bottle, not anything else.
Like somebody, I didn't have this pulled up, and I thought somebody was taking a piss.
I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, even if you're on air. You know what I mean?
Yep. Try to put that fire out for you, Drew.
Oh shit! I'm on the clock.
Idiot.
Okay, buddy.
Got him again, everybody.
Man, damn it. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna take my favorite late. No, I'm not. No, be smart, Drew. Don't tilt here just because you're on the clock.
Don't tilt. But pay attention that.
But look at Brendan Rice.
It's the first pick. This is when you know you've succeeded in a draft. Is when it's the 15th round. You make a pick at 15-4 of Jordan Mason, and Mr. Scampers screamed expletives, and his dogs are scared now. Were they like, I'm gonna fucking kill you, dog? Fuck you. Like, oh.
You know what?
Got to love it.
I will never quit you, Khalil Herbert. Never, ever, ever, ever. Even if there's a fire in my hotel room.
There literally is.
I still think your video profile on Khalil Herbert last year is still one of the top 3 most watched videos on the Rams YouTube channel.
Congratulations.
Which, by the way, if you're watching on YouTube,
you lost the most people their leagues with your video. Awesome job.
It's not my fault. It's the Bears' fault. I can't help it. They don't understand how talented the guy is.
He had him queued up all the way at the start of the draft.
Wow.
Luckily,
look at you, Nate.
Commissioner powers allow me to see your queue, and I could snipe from each one of them and show you. Let's see, who else could I take in the 16th round? So this is where, if we had IR spots, and I know this isn't this league, but little like tidbit information that probably everybody knows, evergreen bullshit. But this is where I don't draft a defense and kicker ever if you have that in your league. Yeah. Oh, wait, we do, don't we? No, we don't. Did I say that? I think I did say that we have defense and kicker.
Why we don't have a defensive kicker. But even if you did, the sleeper is awesome in the sense that like
you don't
have to fill. Yeah, exactly. Like ESPN, I think back in the day, you had to get one of a kicker in a defense.
So I was telling some of the guys that at work that are, they're not part of our listener league where they would know this and they would just roll their eyes if I said them. But I said towards the end of the draft, instead of that, take a couple people who might be approaching the IR and then stash them on your IR. And then you have the 2 extra, would be just throwaway picks that you normally make in rounds 15, 16, if they don't make a roster, if you're not drafting super, super late. And then pick up the defense and the kicker that you probably should stream anyway. Who's your top streaming defense if you have a defense right now going in? Anybody know off the top of their head?
I don't know about streaming, but the defense I'm targeting is Seattle. I just see what you did. I see what they did with McDonald did in Baltimore, going over to the Seahawks. You saw the foundational pieces being laid there in Seattle. I know they got some youth at linebacker. But that secondary is looking pretty sick. So
Chris says the Chargers. And I go week to week. I'm starting off with the Bengals in week 1 against the Patriots because
Seattle's my pick too. Their first 2 weeks of the year are cake. And I agree with Jorge's assessment of the improvements they made on the defense and the coaching hire they made. But then along with that, I like what they've got going on a lot.
Damn it. And I have to agree with Kurt. Devin Witherspoon is a absolute stud. And I have to agree. Kurt, by the way, in the IDP Invitational that you and I are in, different leagues, of course, I drafted Devin Witherspoon as my first cornerback off the board. And Scampers wants to know, why did the Rams trade Ernest Jones? I don't know. I don't think that I know that I'm sure it was his displeasure with certain things, but knees, Gurley. I don't know. I think.
What does he have to be angry about? He was like the focal point of that middle of the field on the defense. Unless it was like a contract thing,
He was set to get paid, and the Rams don't pay the Rams don't pay linebackers.
Ah, okay, that makes more.
Which I don't understand why they didn't just let him play out his contract and then take the comp pick whenever he eventually signed elsewhere. But I don't know. It's very interesting because the Rams have a long history of paying the guys that they feel deserve it, and Andrew Whitworth even was on Twitter saying as much as a former Ram that that the guys get paid that they believe should get paid, and so I was kind of surprised to see him get traded because he was an important part of that defense. So
yeah, it was. And here, Omar Speights he played great in preseason. And I think that he maybe gave them reason for comfort that they could. Not getting anything in return shocks me a little bit. I expected them to get something more than, what was that, 5th or 6th? It wasn't enough to justify losing what I consider the anchor of that defense, because now Christian Roseboom and Omar Speights and I don't know.
I'll tell you what,
reservations.
I'm not even a Rams fan like Drew is or at all, but seeing this makes me cringe because goddamn, those years were so magical with Todd Gurley as a NFL player as well as for fantasy football. Just to see it go by the wayside due to the knee injuries, not injuries, but just being worn down.
Rams suck. Nobody cares.
Wow,
I agree.
Man, how much time do I have left? I can't see that right now.
30 seconds.
Oh, okay, enough time to drag this out. 30 seconds.
For those watching on X, please, if you don't mind heading over to our YouTube channel, hitting that subscribe button and notification bell so you're notified when Fantasy and Frames cranks out awesome fantasy football content. We got so much coming your way in season. If you thought what we had coming at you out in the off season was something, just wait. I got a lot of things planned for y'all.
Yuck.
Way to promote the brand. Yuck. Exactly.
No, not the brand as much as the pick.
Yuck. That's what I say.
Well,
yuck.
Prismatic. I will disrespect the Rams, mostly because I live in St. Louis, and I'm mostly spitting on Stan Kroenke. That's what I think of him.
I'm okay with spitting on Stan Kroenke.
Yeah. I'll root for, certain players on the team, but not him. That's what I think of that. Thank you, Kurt.
Now that Aaron Donald's not there, who would you root for on the Rams?
Cooper Kupp.
Okay. Fair enough.
If I had to root for one person, even though oh, yeah. See, there we go. Wait, Prismatic Porter's also from St. Louis? Look at that. We got 3 St. Louisans in the house.
Hey, 3 St. Louis guys.
Man, I feel kind of shitty of me not to know that, huh? Jeez. Where are you at in St. Louis? You guys can fill in the talk. He's not going to actually really talk right back to me. It's going to be in chat.
You never know. He might.
He might jump. Maybe he found the sleeper tool that you can't find, the voice chat.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, there you go. St. Charles area, which is where I'm at. What do you know? Watch us be like, is that you?
We could just become best friends.
Did we just become neighbors? Keep it down. Well, that's fun.
Oh my God.
Yeah. There you go. Well, Nate Markham at Twitter, if we're not friends already or whatever, hit me up. We could be just around the corner. And Scampers from LA. And also, see, look at this. This is, you know what? If we can get 2 or 3 more people to say F Stan Kroenke, I will buy something to give out for the champion that is in hatred of Stan Kroenke. Maybe a Stan Kroenke like toilet seat or something like that we could give out as a prize. I know everybody else probably isn't in favor, but that guy's, he sucks. He's the worst.
Yeah, I got rid of my shitty owner, so I'm pretty happy right now. I'm sitting pretty here in Washington with the new guy.
Oh yeah, there we go. Get the flag. Perfect. Sounds like a plan. So then the question is who? I hate this. I don't even want to ask you guys because I hate having people do this. Oh, who's the best team? Who's the best pick? And all you're doing is making someone feel really good or making someone feel really bad when you don't name them. But we'll go through and we'll kind of chat about each one of your 2 teams. Jorge, I'll start with yours. So at quarterback, you have Joe Burrow, where in the 8th round of all the pocket passers, I think as long as Chase is actually playing, he's probably in just as good a position as anybody to be, top 5-6 option. Speaking of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, you paired them together. Mike Evans, DK Metcalf. I definitely think those are absolutely is about a solid floor as you can find with ceilings at DK in that offense, But are you worried at all having DK and Kenneth Walker? Is there enough offense to go around does that even bother you at all?
No, I mean, I got Jaylen Warren to swap in for DK for Kenneth Walker. I have wide receiver depth to swap in there. I think the next 2 picks, maybe having people scratch their heads, like you drafted Kyle Pitts and Evan Ingram. Like that's my Kyle Pitts insurance right there, just in case things don't go as predicted. I did not realize that they have the same bye week. That one.
Who cares? Yeah. I think people forget when you have 3 flex spots that pair up your team with everybody else's and look at that 2nd and 3rd flex spots. And that's where you're going to start to see a lot of the separation between teams. And if you can start Evan Ingram, who, I mean, let's be honest. I like Evan Ingram as my flex 3 more than I like, for me, probably I like him as much as Brian Robinson. I don't think that's that far separated between the 2. I mean, Robinson, you and I both agree has upside. What about JSN? JSN and Evan Ingram. I feel like Ingram's more solid every week in and week out. So I don't mind the multiple tight ends in a flex position.
No, I hear you.
And then you took a lot of, I think, high upside X receivers in A.D. Mitchell and Dontavian Wicks. You have the 2nd running back behind offenses that Juan and Jaylen Warren should focus on the running back position. And Arthur Smith could definitely, put him in Najee. And Najee sucks too. Let's be honest. I mean, Najee's boring. He's a decent, he's a good fantasy play for especially where he went in this draft. It was excellent value if you ask me. But because that was, it was Rhett took him. So never mind. He sucks again. I thought that was Albert that took him. I didn't want to disrespect Albert. But yeah, Najee sucks. So sorry, Rhett. You're terrible. But it wouldn't shock me to see Jaylen Warren outproduce Najee. I mean, they've been going kind of back to back for a while, but 2-round separation.
No, well, Najee is supposed to be. Excuse me, Jalen's supposed to be healthy by the start of week 1, and I think I saw a couple reports today that he's expected to be the starter going into the season. We all know what that means. Like, he started a series, and the next 3 series there's Najee Harris.
Right.
So we'll see. We'll see.
Well, Drew, let's talk of your team, because I hate that Brees Hall fell that late to you. It was a fantastic start. And then the question when you have a running back to start off, like I said, with some of the mocks, is that can you build a wide receiver room that is, extremely dangerous to be able to do so? And yeah, I think you did just that. Drake London, Jalen Waddle, T. Higgins, Xavier Worthy. Is Christian Watson the easiest number 1 option on Green Bay, or is that who you truly think will be the number 1 option?
I don't think he's the easiest, but he is my pick, who I think, as long as he's healthy, and that's a big if, obviously, but if he's healthy, I do think he's the most explosive player. He's got the most touchdown upside, and whenever he's been on the field with Jordan Love throws the ball his way a ton in the red zone. And so, maybe I went too much upside there with Worthy and Christian Watson, on the same team, both in the starting lineup, but yeah, I think if he can stay healthy, I think he could be in for a huge year.
Well, I mean, the nice thing is you have targets, and granted, I know DeAndre Hopkins. So Scampers, Drew, or Jorge, if you'll maximize the draft board, I don't think they want to see as much of my.
So we have just arrow down the player list.
Just get the player list out of the way.
And then if we do this maneuver, there we go.
Bam! Look at that.
There you go.
Very good job. So, yeah, Drew, with Jerry Jeudy, and then, of course, DeAndre Hopkins has to return to health, but
he's supposed to play week 1, though. Fingers crossed.
That's what they say. My fingers it hurts to cross them that hard, but but still, I think that you're worrying about Worthy and Watson in your flex, but any given week, I think that your base is so floor, and then all of a sudden you have this upside. There's no doubt. So, I mean, I do love a team. Scampers, you say your team is second worst. I don't buy that for a second. I think that the combination of A.J. Brown, Devontae Adams is he one of the more polarizing, obviously, wide receivers in that second round?
I think so, probably. He's as talented as any receiver in the league is. He's one of the best route runners in the league, but the age cliff at receiver is real. The quarterback situation isn't great. He has a Taco Bell in his home, which, like, how do you fade a guy that has that? As Scampers pointed out earlier in the chat.
Sorry, I was going to say, is the quarterback situation a bad situation? When you look at
yes, absolutely.
Gardner
Minshew was propped up by Shane Steichen's play calling last year.
You think so?
Yeah, absolutely. He is not. You look at any of the advanced metrics that PFF or anybody else has to offer. He was not a good passer last year, but he was in a good offense with good weapons and a good play caller that propped him up as a quarterback. Gardner Minshew is not a good quarterback. Aiden O'Connell is not a good quarterback. Devontae Adams is going to be in hell all year in terms of quarterback play. But if there's a list of receivers that can overcome bad quarterback play, Devontae Adams is on the short list of it. But then there's just a ton of data out there that shows that once you hit that age that Devontae Adams is at, that there's going to be some regression there. And so, it's a scary situation for me that at the front of the second round, I personally have stayed away from, but I understand the folks that want to go for it. But yeah, look, Gardner Minshew's fun. The stash rocks, all that stuff is cool, but I just don't think he's actually a good NFL quarterback.
You see, you don't think there's a possibility or a range of outcomes where he just hyper targets a la Michael Pittman, Devontae Adams this season?
I would have felt better about that if they wouldn't have spent a priority pick on Brock Bowers. I think that hurts the target share. I still think he'll be the target leader and he'll have a ton of targets, but I do think that hurts his ceiling outcome with Bowers there, because Bowers is an incredible talent. Like, he's not just some guy that they're throwing in there in the offense. Like, he's one of the best tight end prospects we've ever seen, and he's going to make he's going to make an impact sooner rather than later.
Yeah, the nice thing about that is even if, let's say, Devontae Adams does have the regression or follow-up season that, some people are anticipating, having Malik Neighbors, whose upside is as high as so in the Kings Classic draft that I participated in, at the end of the first round, and granted it's a 14-team league, Malik Neighbors was the 13th pick overall. So there are some people, and I'm not saying that league is any smarter than anybody else is listening or participating in this. Just happens to be, clearly I was in the league, so that says a lot. But I do believe that there's people that do spend a lot of time and effort, and it wasn't a mocked pick. It was actually a kind of, damn, for many. So getting Malik Neighbors in the third could return second round value, moving Devontae Adams into that wide receiver 3 spot. Skinny Batman and Devontae Smith could very easily, especially with this offense that shouldn't be as poor as it was last year. Not poor, they were great, but Kellen Moore-led offense should be even more dynamic, especially if people are moving around into that offense that they say they're going to do. Haven't seen it yet, but they say it. Now Devontae Adams is maybe his 4, and George Pickens should be the focal point of that offense as well, other than the whole Arthur Smith thing. So now Devontae Adams is kind of, it's insulated with other great picks. So Scampers, I'm trying to build up. You keep saying your team is so bad, and I'm building that up. Running back room of David Montgomery, Raheem Mostert. There is potentially, what was that, 40 rushing touchdowns from last year, basically. Obviously, that's hyperbole, but they both are going to be goal line work. Wouldn't shock me behind those two offenses. It's solid. Ferguson Brooks, if he comes back in the second half, is good. Zach Moss sucks, so I'll pass that. Tyler Algier is what he is. Jaden Daniels is a steal. And then the rest of the team, is it the worst? Don't know. It's hard to say who's going to be the worst. I do want to say, so Philly is traded to the Jets. I don't know if you guys put that up there and I missed it, but
we didn't put that up there. But I mean, okay. if he gets traded to the Jets, the quarterback isn't an issue anymore because I still believe in Aaron Rodgers. But
then it's I actually 25% with him and Garrett Wilson.
I know, that's the only issue. But I would rather a partial target share with sharing with Garrett Wilson from Aaron Rodgers than what he's going to get from the quarterbacks in
Gardner
in Vegas.
That's just my opinion. But Phil, I know we're wrapping it up. I have to bounce, unfortunately. So before I know you guys are going to do your thing, you're going to do your closing. But before I have to bounce, I just wanted to thank everybody that listened, that drafted. The fact that we were able to do a listener league was so fucking cool. So
yes.
I didn't want to just disappear off screen without saying that, because I never thought 2-3 years ago, I never would have thought I would be in a listener league where I wasn't like one of the listeners and not somebody on the show. Like that's just crazy to me. So you guys that support our work, even though we're not ESPN or we're not Fantasy Pros, whatever, the fact that you guys support our work and are willing to draft with us and hang out with us, it's so fucking cool. So before I bounce, I just wanted to make sure that you guys know how thankful I am for that. And you two gentlemen on the screen are a huge reason why I'm here today and putting me in this position and making me a better fantasy analyst, fantasy player with all the support that you provided over the last couple of years. So I appreciate the fuck out of you guys too. So couldn't leave without saying that first.
No. Likewise, man. Likewise.
Yeah.
You're an amazing person. Thank you for putting this all together with you and Rhett and Chris. Just this turned out great. Like you said earlier, this is our first ever listener league for the Fourth and Frame show. So everybody out there to second, what you said, Drew. But Drew Scott, if you all need a guest on the podcast, he is at Drew3MR on X. Get him on your show ASAP.
Yep.
Love y'all.
It's because of Drew that basically I quit IDP this year. I really didn't, Jorge, but I'll tell you right now, he's a great salesman. He got me on board, and now I'm part of this. So, Drew, thanks again, brother. Love you, and have a good night. Man. Hope you don't catch fire. Let us know. If so, can I trade for Drake London and Jalen Waddle and Brees?
Only if I survive.
I call dibs if he does or doesn't survive. I called first. All right, buddy. Yes. Take it easy. Well, Jorge, I would love to go through and just, number one, speaking hyperbole about everybody's team and tell everybody how great they did and go on and
But
on.
you know what? No, F them, because now we're competing against each other, and now it's on. Now the game is on.
It's true, exactly. But I found a neighbor in
You did.
Charismatic Porter. Didn't know. Fantastic. Look forward to finding out where he or she potentially stays, and we will have to get a beer or something, or soda, coffee, whatever the case may be, unless they beat me, and then I will never talk to this person again. Sorry.
Or they literally beat you, and
I get mugged.
Yes.
The long con. They actually joined the listener league, moved to St. Charles, dragged me out of the house, had me meet up, robbed me for like $13, and then
who did you not hold the door open for? I'm telling you, it's that one person you just never think of, and it's like, oh,
yeah, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
Scampers, no, thank you for being part of it. Always a pleasure. It was a pleasure to everybody. Obviously, we couldn't do this without everybody here, but next week I will be in Vegas on Wednesday. So I believe Tuesday night, I'm going to record our My Guys episode where I get to go through and I have to change all my guys to people that I have now drafted tonight. So it makes sense. And no one believes that I was just full of shit. Scampers has promised not to physically beat anyone. That's actually part. You didn't read the rules. Whoever finishes last, you have to physically beat that person. So I don't make the rules. I just enforce them.
Yeah.
But
Code Red style, exactly.
Code Red like Mountain Dew style.
No, like in A Few Good Men, Jack Nicholson. Did you order the Code Red? You're goddamn right, I did.
Oh, gotcha.
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry, my brain goes to Mountain Dew on everything possible. So
you know what's crazy?
Forgive the comparisons.
I brought up that reference at work, which to help. First of all, why did I bring up a reference of somebody getting beaten to death with a bar of soap in a bag? But it happened, and nobody got the reference except my bosses. And I'm just like, are we that old? And then before I got any further, the answer was yes.
Yes, it is. Yes,
I digress.
I can speak for about 4 people in this draft that say yes. Age is exactly. Jeremy's in the chat, who's as old as us, but I feel like we could just do chit chat and go on. I do want to say thank you for everybody for being part of this tonight, and I wish everybody luck. Of course, that's not true. I hope everybody's team sucks, and they don't. But Jorge, you got any final words to leave us with?
Next week, you're going to be drafting in Vegas, and funny story, folks. He drops in our Fantasy and Frames chat. Anybody want to come out for a day, literally like a day and a half to Vegas to hang out and watch this draft? And I'm like, you know what? I think I'll join you. So there's actually going to be a Fantasy and Frames contingent heading up the strip in Las Vegas next week, which is going to be awesome. But because of that, Shoot the Gap is going to be pre-recorded on Monday night, getting you ready for week 1. We're going to do a My Guys for Shoot the Gap, our IDP Fantasy Football podcast, over the weekend. And we got the waiver show coming up on Tuesdays. We're starting everything. We're starting everything a week early, giving you a little bit of an advantage. Yes, we know drafts has just happened, but there's still some value still out there that maybe you haven't thought about, depending on the size of your league. And we cater to everybody. So we're going to get that content out to you. Head over to fantasyandframes.com. Check out our rankings. Drew, Nate, and myself have our most recent rankings up there, as well as our IDP rankings. Read all of our redraft target articles. These are players that, the staff here at Fantasy and Frames that we're particularly high on, and they give you the rationale as to why. We got a bunch of IDP redraft target articles coming your way also before, the weekend. So a lot of stuff coming here in Fantasy and Frames, and we just can't wait to, we do this for you. We do this because, well, 1, we do this because we love it. 2, we do this because we want to help you all succeed in playing fantasy football. And, we do these shows and we do these pods because we are desperate for attention and hope that you love us. So that's pretty much the gist of that. So, but yeah, that's where I'm going with that.
That's it. So I will leave us here. And I'm sorry I distracted Carrie. My lovely wife, Carrie, is bugging me right now, stealing something from my desk, but it is not fantasy knowledge because she gets that from everybody else, not me. Hence why she wins leagues. So on behalf of me and Jorge and Drew and everybody at the Fantasy and Frames family, thank you all for being part of this, and we will see you soon.